Mr. Speaker, we can look at the content, but if the ban is unnecessary, then why is it that they've started a review? Just last week, his Education Secretary called a ban a bit gimmick, yet teachers and head teachers say the evidence already shows that schools that ban phones get better results. And he's wrong. Not all schools do this. Only 1 in 10 schools are smartphone free. So will he U-turn on this?
We need to ensure that all schools do this, but the vast majority do.
No one expected Keir Starmer to end up looking so exposed in Parliament. Publicly cornered, he appeared unsure and hesitant, struggling to respond without deepening the embarrassment. The moment he tried to speak, the chamber erupted, drowning him out. But what was this clash really about? How did his opponent point to a problem Starmer had been using as a political showcase to prove he cares? The controversy centered on Labour voting against a proposal to ban mobile phones in schools, a move Starmer had previously described as unnecessary. Yet he was forcefully challenged in Parliament by Kemi Badenoch, who argued that banning phones would strengthen classroom discipline and support both teachers and students. In that heated exchange, Starmer was put on the defensive. Starmer often claims he stands for better classroom discipline, higher standards, and stronger support for teachers. But when presented with a clear, straightforward, and widely supported proposal to restrict mobile phones in schools, he chose to block it, dismissing the measure as pointless rather than embracing it as an opportunity to act decisively.
But first, let's turn to another government minister who is making a mess of her brief, the Education Secretary. Why did Labour MPs vote against banning phones in schools last week?
Prime Minister. Because it's completely unnecessary. I've got teenage children. Almost every school bans phones in school. They do it already. We need to concentrate on what's really important here, which is getting to the content that children shouldn't be accessing. That's where I would genuinely like to work across the House, because I think there's a huge amount of work to do. But the battle is not with schools that are already banning phones in school. The battle, and this is an important emerging battle, is to work together to ensure that we can ensure that the content that children are accessing, wherever they are, is...
And in doing so, Keir Starmer did more than commit a policy mistake. Critics argue he exposed a deeper weakness in Labour's approach to education and discipline. This was not just a routine vote. It sent a message that, under Labour, disruptive behaviour, digital distraction, and classroom disorder would remain unchecked, even when a clear solution was available. The Conservative Party, led in the Commons by Kemi Badenoch, tabled an amendment to the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill that would have required schools nationwide to ban mobile phones during the school day. The proposal aimed to tackle a growing problem in classrooms, where students use smartphones during lessons, breaks, and even exams, to cheat, bully, access inappropriate material, or simply disengage from their teachers. Now, listen to what the Education Secretary had to say about this.
As you say, we are setting out measures in this landmark piece of legislation that will do a lot more to keep children safe. We have failed as a state far too many children for far too long. It's time that we get on and act. No more words, no more lessons learned. It's time to legislate. It's time to act. It's time to protect children. And making sure we've got clear visibility where children are being home educated is one of a number of very important measures that we'll be setting out today to Parliament.
Interestingly, nothing was done. The amendment proposed by the Conservatives was voted down, with every Labour MP under Keir Starmer's leadership blocking it. Why? Starmer's public response, delivered during Prime Minister's questions, was to minimise the seriousness of the issue. That was the moment when Kemi Badenoch forcefully challenged him, confronting him directly in the Commons and putting him on the defensive.
Mr. Speaker, we can look at the content, but if the ban is unnecessary, then why is it that they've started a review? Just last week, his Education Secretary called a ban a bit gimmick, yet teachers and head teachers say the evidence already shows that schools that ban phones get better results. And he's wrong. Not all schools do this. Only 1 in 10 schools are smartphone free. So will he U-turn on this?
We need to ensure that all schools do this, but the vast majority do. It is really important that we focus on the battle we have to have with mobile phones, which is the content that children are able to access. And we need to ensure that that is controlled wherever they are. So it's a question of having the right battle on the right issue, not wasting time on something where almost all schools are already banning mobile.
But that argument collapses when faced with the facts. Before we go any further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If you are, please like and share it, and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive coverage of the groundbreaking changes unfolding on Offscript. Now let's continue. Research from Policy Exchange found that only 11% of secondary schools fully enforce mobile phone bans. A Teacher Tap survey confirmed that although many schools claim to have restrictions in place, only a small fraction apply them consistently during lesson time. In contrast, primary schools maintain near-universal bans because they understand how harmful constant phone use can be for young children. The real issue lies in secondary schools, where students are increasingly glued to their screens, and critics argue that Labour's decision has allowed the problem to grow rather than confront it.
Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised that the Prime Minister would say this. His own government's evidence says that phones disrupt nearly half of GCSE classes every single day. Discipline is the number one issue in many schools. Under the Conservatives, schools became twice as likely to be good or outstanding after going through our behaviour programme. So why did the Education Secretary...
Keir Starmer attempted to deflect the debate from the issue of mobile phones by shifting attention to what he claimed the Conservatives had done wrong.
Mr. Speaker, she talks about the record of the last government. Under their watch, a third of children started school without appropriate level development, and that is not being able to use a knife and fork. A quarter left primary school without the required standard of reading, writing and maths, and 1 in 5 was regularly absent. That's why we're pushing up standards, more information from Ofsted, transparency for parents, more intervention.
That was the moment Kemi Badenoch struck back, pointing out that Keir Starmer still had not answered the real question. Yet Starmer continued to insist that mobile phones themselves were not the issue, arguing instead that the real problem was the content students choose to watch on them.
We need to concentrate on what's really important here, which is getting to the content that children shouldn't be accessing. That's where I would genuinely like to work across the House, because I think there's a huge amount of...
It is a classic political tactic. Shift the debate to a more abstract argument so you can avoid acting on the concrete issue in front of you. It is like refusing to ban cigarettes in schools because the real problem is nicotine addiction. That may be true, but it does not mean you allow 13-year-olds to smoke during class. The same logic applies to mobile phones. Until meaningful content regulation exists, and that could take years, the only reliable safeguard is removing the device from the learning environment altogether. Keir Starmer refuses to take that step, reinforcing the perception that he is more focused on sounding persuasive than on delivering practical results. When he struggled to manage the exchange, he pointed out that he himself is a parent, but that is not a policy defense.
Mr. Speaker, it was Labour that introduced academies. We pushed up standards. And this is not ideological. I'm a parent of two teenage children, both of whom go to a state school. So I'm vested in this, and it matters hugely to me. Nothing ideological about it. That is why we're driving up standards, as we always...
In a moment that may have been intended as heartfelt, but came across as hollow, Keir Starmer tried to shield himself from criticism by reminding everyone that he is a parent. But being a parent is not a policy position. It is not a strategy. It is not a substitute for leadership. Parents across Britain are calling for stricter school rules. They want discipline, structure, and focus in classrooms. Being a parent should make you more determined to ban phones, not less. The truth is, Starmer had the chance to make a real difference. He had a parliamentary majority, a simple bill, and public support. But he chose to do nothing. Worse, he blocked a measure that could have helped. What do you think? Should phones be banned in schools because they distract students? Or do you feel that phones are now such an essential part of life that banning them would make a difference? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Would schools with phone bans perform better than those that allow them? If you want to see more videos like this one, please like and share the video, and subscribe for more updates on Offscript and the events shaping it.